Did you know that over 30.3 million people in the United States have diabetes? If you really think about it, that is very, very serious. I definitely want to get down to the nitty-gritty when it comes to this topic, and I want to tell you some facts about diabetes, and I also want to be able to tell you my personal experience when it comes to this disease. What's going on? It's your boy Alex. You clicked on that link because you want to know information about diabetes because you yourself or you may have family members or loved ones that have this condition, this disease. So I'm going to get started without any delay. Type 1 diabetes is that your immune system is attacking the cells that produces insulin. Type 2 diabetes is when your body becomes resistant to insulin because of the hormone is not producing enough insulin for you to be able to manage your glucose levels. And then another type of diabetes is usually developed in women who are pregnant, and usually when their pregnancy ends after they give birth to their child is when that type of diabetes will go away. Diabetes that I'm going to be discussing in this video is diabetes type 2, the one that people have the misconception that diabetes is not a serious condition, and actually it is very serious because it can do so many things to your organs if you're not managing your diabetes properly. And to manage your diabetes properly is that you have to be careful when it comes to your sugar and carbohydrates intake, because the thing is, if your sugar is constantly too high, and in some people's cases too low, it can affect your eyes, your skin, your teeth, your blood pressure, which can also affect your organs like your kidneys, your liver. You can also develop stroke, heart attacks, neuropathy, joint and bone issues, and also it can affect your performance in the bedroom as well too. And one thing I have to say too is that you don't have to be elderly, old, to get this disease as well too. You can be young, especially when it comes to being a diabetic type 1. That can be at any age. You can be 9 years old, 10 years old, and still develop this condition. Usually it's hereditary. Sometimes it's not. But diabetes type 2 definitely do run in the family from what I see. Another misconception is that a lot of people assume that it only affects people who are overweight. Yes, being overweight do increase your chances of developing diabetes, type 2 at least. But you can be slightly overweight and still develop this condition as well too. It's possible for you, in general, to have diabetes and not even know it. Did you know that there are 7.2 million people in America, not even factoring the number that I stated earlier, that have diabetes and don't even know it? Because the thing is, when you first get diabetes, you might not even notice the signs right away. But I'll list some of the early symptoms that you could be experiencing and might not even know it. And mind you, you might not even always have these signs to be a diabetic. Always having to use a bathroom, number one. Always having to urinate, basically. Always feeling thirsty. That's another symptom. Always feeling hungry, like even after you eat, that's another symptom. Your vision all of a sudden getting blurry, something that I experienced too. That's another symptom. Always feeling real tired and fatigued, that's another one. With me, I was having like an alcohol kind of smell coming out of my pores as well too. But I'll get into that in a minute. That's ketoacidosis. Something that you can develop from being a diabetic as well too, from having extremely high blood sugar levels. Having that dry mouth feeling all the time too, that's like another symptom as well too. And the unexplained weight loss. Yes, the unexplained weight loss, that is another one. And usually doctors can also tell by checking your blood as well too. They do a test on you called the A1C test. And if it's over a certain point, like 5.8, that's when you're pre-diabetic. You still have to watch your blood sugar level, but you're away from certain dangers and whatnot. But once it goes to a certain level, which is 6.4, that's when you're considered to be a diabetic type 2. It doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. So basically is you just have to be very careful with what you do. So when it comes to what you eat, you have to be extremely careful. Like, don't just go crazy when it comes to breads and carbohydrates and stuff like rice, pastas, pizzas, anything high in carbs. So you basically have to learn a habit of looking at the back of boxes of things that you want to indulge in. You know, Snapples, for an example. That's something that you have to, in my opinion, stay away from. If you're the type of diabetic that experiences high blood sugars, you know, the type of diabetic that I was is that my sugars always went low until I got to a certain point, which I will explain in a second. You also want to make sure that you're not walking around the house barefoot, because the thing is that your feet is very important. You do not want to injure your feet, because the thing is that because of neuropathy, it's very hard for our feet to heal. Well, in general, it's hard for us to heal, because the thing is a simple cut can become an infection. Neuropathy, it affects the nerves, okay? And since our nerves is affected as a diabetic, it makes it so that the circulation of blood is very poor. Me personally, I can't speak on behalf of doctors. Friends that I have who are diabetics, I even recommended them to not even take baths or showers that are too hot, because even small microscopic burns that comes from like hot water and it lands on their feet can even cause small infections, because them small tiny burns we can't even really see. And even if it might not hurt as much at first, it can still end up being infected. It'll grow, you know. And that's the reason why a lot of times, you know, a lot of people who have diabetes, they need their feet amputated. And that's kind of touchy to me. I don't even, you know. But like I said, I'll speak about my personal experiences. And this is the reason why I made this video, is because I want people to be aware of this condition and how serious that it is, you know? Because when I first found out that I was a diabetic back in 2015, is because I developed this condition called ketoacidosis. And basically what that was is it made my blood acidic and my organs started failing. That's basically what the doctors told me. You know, I was actually dying. I had to be rushed to the hospital. The alcohol smell that I started saying earlier in the video, that ended up happening to me. And I was going through the signs that I was mentioning too. Like, I had the blurred vision. I always had to urinate. I was always hungry. I was always thirsty. I got into a point that I was drinking 3 gallons of water a day in one single day, you know? And to me, it was just crazy. But I just thought like I had a bad flu or bad allergy at first, you know, like when I first developed it. And it was just crazy, you know, because I had no idea that I would have gotten it. Mind you, and during this time, I was a very heavy guy, you know. I was 400 pounds at this point in time in my life, you know. But the thing is because of the ketoacidosis that I had, and you know, my A1C was sky high. It was actually like at a 10.1 or something like that, you know. And my blood sugars at the time, it was like 650. Yeah, it was crazy, you know. And as a diabetic, they usually want to keep their blood sugars between 100 and 180, or at least depending who you are, because I know some diabetics, they say it depends how they feel. You know, I have one friend, I'm not going to say her name, she actually feels okay when her blood sugar is 200. But then there's other diabetics, if their sugar is 200, then they actually feel what they call hyperglycemic. You know, and that's when they get certain symptoms when their blood sugar is too high. It's like the same symptoms of the warning signs that you get. You know, like when you're not sure you're a diabetic and you get the blurred vision, the increased thirst, the weakness, fatigue. But you can also experience nausea as well too. And it's almost like you feel like you have vertigo. And there will be a video coming on vertigo soon too, because I also been diagnosed with vertigo, and I wanted to talk about that as well too. But it's almost like having that feeling, but not extreme as vertigo. Like you feel dizzy, you feel out of it, disoriented sometimes, you mess up with your speech, and you just feel out of it. It's almost like feeling hungover, so to speak. Hold on one second, I'll be back. I gotta fill this back up. I'm real lucky that I went there at the timing fashion that I did, and if I waited any longer, then I wouldn't be there for them to be talking to me and stuff like that. Ketoacidosis is scary, you know? And that's usually one of the things that can take out a lot of people who've been diagnosed with diabetes, you know? So I'm thankful to God and the universe and my ancestors and spirits and all that stuff, you know? Definitely. And I pray to them every day, because my type of diabetes that I had was so complicated. Even though throughout the experience of being a diabetic, one thing that I decided to do that I didn't tell the whole world about was that I did decide to do the weight loss surgery. Because the good thing about that is that, you know, my endocrinologist at the time was telling me that if I was to go through that surgery, it'll help lower my A1C. And if my A1C is to be lowered, then it'll get rid of my diabetes. And the thing with me is that I tried dieting so much, but the diabetes that I had is that when I started eating right and doing everything that I'm supposed to do, being healthy and working out and stuff like that, then my sugars would get too low. And then I would go through a condition called hypoglycemia. And then I would get sick, nauseous, fatigue, it was crazy. You know, just 2 or 3 days at the gym, I would end up developing this condition. You know, going through a day of eating fruits, vegetables, salads, a little bit of meat, I would go through this condition. And then it's like my pancreas sometimes, and that's the hormone that helps you produce insulin. Sometimes it'll go on overdrive. So my pancreas would produce too much insulin to the point that it'll skyrocket, and my doctors at the time couldn't believe how much insulin that my body would produce, because it'll get to the point that my blood sugars would be like, let's say around 60 or 70 glucose level, and I'll have like a big plate of spaghetti, you know, just to see how high I can get my sugar, and it'll just be still 70 or 80, you know. And some diabetics will tell you, if you have any that know you, like if they eat a little bit of pasta, their blood sugar might go from 100 to 300 depending who they are. Mine will stay right there. Some diabetics, their blood sugar will roller coaster, like it'll shoot up and then back down, but mine's actually won't budge, like it wouldn't move. Like, it's very weird. I know this video is extremely long, so as I said before, the reason why I've gotten rid of my diabetes is because I went through the weight loss surgery. I felt like for me, it was the best decision of my life, because me doing that, my A1C was able to go down as the weight went down, and by the time I got down to, like, let's say around 330 pounds, I was diabetic free. And I'm happy I made that choice. And if it was up to me, I would have did it a lot sooner. And the crazy thing is, the day of my surgery, I was developing ketoacidosis again. So I'm glad I went along with it and just had it done, you know? So I'm happy to share my experience with you all. I actually don't feel like saying the whole like and subscribe and all that other good stuff and whatnot. I want to organically, with this video at least, if you're feeling what I'm saying, then I'm gonna make plenty of these, you know? It's just one of these videos that is like, it's close to home, you know? A lot of you are going through this similar thing, and some of y'all might feel that y'all are alone when it comes to this, and y'all not. You know, spending hours at night researching and getting information when it comes to this thing. And like I said earlier, soon I'm going to make a video and talk about vertigo as well too. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.